Going to talk a second today about one of the most iconic album cover photographs in history. This is the Allman Brothers Band, At Fillmore East. Listen, I've written an entire book about this album, Play All Night, Duane Allman and the Journey to Fillmore East. I've listened to this record probably more times than anything else in my life. So I've said a whole lot about the album itself. So right now, I'm not going to talk about the album. I'm going to specifically focus on the photograph for several reasons. And one is just photographs captivate me, and they're an interesting way to look at life. Jim Marshall, one of the most famous photographers in rock history, shot this image for the Allman Brothers Band's album that they had recorded in March of 1971 at Fillmore East. He ventured down to Macon in April of 1971 to shoot a series of photographs of the band and crew. I don't think the road cases are full. I do know, though, that the roadies were pissed off about having to move the road cases out and stack them. Marshall took a series of photographs, and they're out there, but this is the one that made the album cover and also is pretty famous. It's the one where they seem the most natural, and there's a reason for that. You'll see Duane Allman in the front there, second from the, well, shit, anyway, you'll see him sitting there. He's sitting down with his hands covered, and that's because Duane, in the middle of the photo shoot, apparently saw his dealer and ran across, made a very quick score for an 8 ball of cocaine, sat down, and Marshall caught this shot of his bandmates laughing as he returned and returned to the scene. I've seen it where folks said Marshall was saying, "I'm not giving you any coke unless you start smiling," but that just was not the case. The documented case, and this is everybody sitting in this picture mentioned, was that Duane had gone across to make a quick score and came back. Interestingly enough, the flip side of this record, which I don't have here, I'm not all that technically savvy yet on this stuff, of the album cover features the roadies themselves all lined up in a similar pose. And they look pretty surly. They look pretty angry. They're drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon, which even back then was not a high-class beer. And so but they were featured on the album. It's something pretty unique and that folks mostly point out. Listen, this At Fillmore East is way more than the greatest live album in history. It's one of the greatest albums in history. It was recorded live. And that's what I wrote a 500-page dissertation on in a 250-page book and spend my time talking about at Long Live the ABB and at longlivetheabb.com, all over the socials and all over the internet. It's just something that fascinates my brain. So I've talked a lot about the album, but I really haven't said a whole lot about the photograph. It is iconic, and this was taken in Macon, Georgia. The building that they're in front of was across from Capricorn Studios, and that building is no more. I guess the last thing to say is of the 6 guys in this photograph, 2 of them are still with us, Dickie Betts and J-Mo. Long live the ABB.